I'm at the park. Got about 1 hour before I can go into work. It's gonna be a 5.5, 6-hour shift. This YouTube video is gonna be a head start to my NFL series. It's summertime. We're doing basketball right now, but I want to drop this video. I want to say congratulations to my man Tom Brady and the New England Patriots for winning a 6th Super Bowl. So he's won his 6th championship. Congratulations, Tom Brady. You truly deserve it. And I know the player haters that hate the Patriots. It's alright, it's okay. Now as for them LA Rams, I try to tell you LA Rams that y'all won't go win no Super Bowl, not in your first year in the Super Bowl. Now, if the Rams come back to the Super Bowl the second time and there's a Super Bowl rematch, then maybe yes. Now, this video right here is going to be Tom Brady versus Joe Montana, quarterback versus quarterback, champion versus champion. Now, who's better, Tom Brady or Joe Montana? Now, let's go with Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady is what I like to call the perfect sports story. He never was the #1 draft pick in the NFL. We all know that. He's like the Michael Jordan of professional football. If you just look at Michael Jordan's story in basketball and you compare that to Tom Brady's story in football, it's an exact copy of that story. Neither one of these athletes from two different sports were never the #1 draft pick. Think of all the football teams that passed over Tom Brady. You know, the Dallas Cowboys passed him over. The San Francisco 49ers passed over Tom Brady. Teams, I think there's maybe 2 more NFL teams that passed over Tom Brady, but he was passed over. And he didn't get picked in the first round. People thought he was going to get picked in the second round. He didn't even get picked in the second round. I think he got picked late in the 3rd round of the NFL draft. I might have to double check that, because I know when people see these names in these videos, they have a tendency to go in the comment section and quote me. So it's okay if you say it's the 2nd round or the 3rd round or the 4th round, but there were different rounds of the NFL draft in the year 2000. And a lot of people thought it was going to be Peyton Manning. That's right, you heard me. A lot of people said Peyton Manning was going to be better than Tom Brady. Now, maybe the first 4 or 5 NFL seasons, Peyton Manning was better than Tom Brady. But as time went on, it proved that Tom Brady was better than Peyton Manning, because they faced each other for like 15 seasons. They played against each other. And every time it was Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady, or Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning, 99.99% Tom Brady won the vast majority of those football games in those physical matchups. Now, a lot of y'all might know this, he played baseball. Now, in high school and college, he played baseball, he played football, and he almost was going to entertain the idea of a professional baseball career, because he really loves baseball. Like, if you ask him right now if he had a chance to go into a time machine and start all over again, Tom Brady would say he would rather probably have been a baseball player than a football player. But I know a lot of you going to say, I can't picture that. Guess what? I can't picture it either. The best part about that was we see why he stuck with football. Now, he's a California boy. You know, he went to Michigan. You know, he went to Michigan. You can check it up. You can look it up. And there were a lot of comparisons between Tom Brady to Joe Montana, because he could throw the football, he could make touchdowns, he could run, he can get inside the pocket, he can play on both sides of the pocket, both sides of the football. He was deadly and vertical with his aim and throwing the football in his prime. And Tom Brady was so accurate that when he gave the wide receiver the football, they were good at making touchdowns. And then there was that controversial between him and that other football player. Just like Joe Montana and Steve Young, Tom Brady had a situation where you got 2 quarterbacks on the same football team, and the team has to make a big-time decision. Somebody's going to have to leave, while our star is going to have to be made on this team. Tom Brady, you know that one football game that I'm talking about in the year 2001, where they made it to the playoffs, and they were down by 20 points. The star quarterback got injured, and they brought in Tom Brady, and Tom Brady got them up. They take him out of the game, bring him, you know, they go back down, and bring him back in the game. It was a high-score-ass football game. And I think the coach realized we got to go with Tom Brady because he's just much younger. He's faster, he's quicker, he's fast on his feet. First guy to practice, last guy to leave practice. So they chose Tom Brady, and the other quarterback had to go bye-bye. And he became the star for the next decade and a half. And now we're sitting here 2 decades later at the age of 40 years old. He's won 6 championships. He's gone to the Super Bowl like what, 7 to 8 times in a 17, 18 year period. You know, he's done something that no NFL football quarterback has ever done. He's won 6 championships, and he did it on one football team. Most football players have to go to 3 or 4 other NFL teams to win a championship. He won 6 championships on one football team. And yeah, he's been injured. You know, he's been hit plenty of times. He's had Super Bowl games that he should have won. Let's talk about that. We'll never forget that he lost 2 Super Bowls to them damn New York Giants. Yeah, I'll never forget him losing the 2007 Super Bowl to the New York Giants. They call that the perfect Super Bowl, where the Miami Dolphins Hall of Famer quarterback said no one would ever be able to repeat that success. The Patriots had won all their games in the preseason and in the season, and then suffered their first loss in the 2007 Super Bowl to Eli Manning and those Giants. Then we go to the 2012 Super Bowl, and he loses again in a Super Bowl rematch to the same defensive line, same player, same team, in the same fashion. He loses by a damn touchdown. And that's twice he lost. And let's not forget that the 3rd Super Bowl that he had lost. Let's not forget that. And that was also tragic. So there have been at least 3 Super Bowls that Tom Brady could have won but lost. So yeah, he's gone to the Super Bowl a total of 9 times, because you go by, he won 6, but Tom Brady lost 3 Super Bowls. So you would say 7, 8, 9. So he's had 9 NFL appearances in the Super Bowl. He won 6, but he went to the Super Bowl 9 times. And he is going to be an NFL Hall of Famer. And to hear him say, I'm going to come back for another season, is incredible. And for people to say that he's 40 years old, he's done, he's washed up, once again, it brings comparisons to Joe Montana, because the same thing was said about Joe Montana when he was 36, 37, 38 years old. Oh, he's old, he's washed up, he's done, he ain't got it no more. And I know a lot of people wanted the Patriots to lose this Super Bowl, but Tom Brady showed that even at 40, he can still kick ass and take names. And I know a lot of people are going to say they hate the Patriots. That's okay, that's fine. That's what makes the Patriots such a great football team, is the fact that you hate them. Just like people hate me. I thrive like how Tom Brady thrives. So that ain't the point. The point is, he's good. Now let's go with Joe Montana. Joe Montana got drafted in the mid-1980s, like around 1981, 1982. I might have to double check that. But he got drafted somewhere around in those 80s to the San Francisco 49ers. And for at least 12 years, he was the superstar quarterback on that football team. He was the one that helped them win all their football games. Of course, he had the defensive line, the offensive line, and they won all their football games. And they made the playoffs for 10 out of 12 years. For 10 out of 12 years, he helped them make it to the playoffs. They won the first round, or should I say they won the first game, they won the second game, they won the third game, and they went to the Super Bowl. And during that time, he had won his first championship, then he won his second championship, and then right around the late 80s, going into the 90s, Jerry Weiss comes along, and he wins his 3rd championship. And then we have controversy because we get this young quarterback named Steve Young that comes on the football team. It's 12 seasons later, 12 years later. Steve Young is the young up-and-coming quarterback. And at that time, Joe Montana was like 32, 33 years old, my age. And he wasn't sure if he could, hold on with his injuries. And just like Tom Brady, it was in the reverse. The younger quarterback took over the football game. They loved this Steve Young more. And Joe Montana, had some issues in the beginning, and then they won 4 championships. And when you think about it, the 49ers could have been the first football team to actually do what Tom Brady done. Have one quarterback win 6. The potential was there. And a decision had to be made. Right in the middle of his 13th or 14th season coming up, Joe Montana realized that he wasn't going to be the star no more. So Steve Young took his spot and he went to the Kansas City Chiefs. And for 2 years, he played on the Kansas City Chiefs and took them to the playoffs and showed that without the 49ers, I'm still great. And people said that had they kept Joe Montana would have won 5 championships. Now, Joe Montana himself have lost Super Bowls. Don't get the game messed up. Don't get the game twisted. Even Joe Montana has lost some championships. There's some championships that got away from him. That one where they lost to, I can't remember if it was Dallas or it's one of them teams in the 80s that they lost to. I'll have to double check. They lost a championship in the 80s. They lost one in the 90s. So he has at least 2 Super Bowls that he lost that got away from him. And let's not forget that he himself was taking on someone he was equally being compared to. He had an arch nemesis that he would go up against. I think at that time it was Troy Aikman. It was someone that he was going to go up against. We also have
You got lighter?
no. It was Troy Aikman, and then we have John Elway. So there was more than one person that Joe Montana would clash with. And let's not forget Dan Marino. Sorry for the interruption. Somebody was asking for a cigarette. But point is, he had these people that he would play football games against. And by the time he did 16 years, he retired. So, yeah, there's been at least 2 Super Bowls that got away from Joe Montana. Joe Montana had a chance to do what Tom Brady done. So keep that in mind. Now, who is better? Now, I know a lot of people are going to say right off the bat, hands down, people are going to say it's Joe Montana because he was so flawless in technique and he always gave it his best. And I know some people are going to say, well, Tom Brady has lasted much longer in the NFL, and that's true. Now, I want to say this. Tom Brady did it because he had a defensive line and an offensive line that always came and showed up to work and played, injuries or not. As for Joe Montana, he's been in situations where he's had to adapt to every situation no matter what. If it was hot climate, cold climate, didn't matter if it was raining, didn't matter if they were at home, on the road, he always found a way to win 85 to 90% of the football games. Didn't matter if the game went into overtime, 2 overtimes. Joe Montana would play injured. Tom Brady plays injured from time to time. And then there are times where Tom Brady gets red in the face and goes off. They call him Psycho Tom. And he's ready to just go off and blow football teams out. But we can't deny the fact that as great as Tom Brady is, a lot of people will never let me forget, as a Patriot fan, you lost to the same Super Bowl team twice in the Super Bowls. Joe Montana only lost to one of his arch nemesis in a Super Bowl, and when there was a Super Bowl rematch, Joe Montana got revenge on that team that beat him in a championship. That's why I said there's only 2 championships that got away from Joe Montana, and Joe Montana had a chance to win 5 or 6 Super Bowls just like Tom Brady. A lot of people forget that. Tom Brady won 6. So I want to say, and I know people are going to get mad when I say this, by a slight little edge, just by a slight little margin, Tom Brady will edge out Joe Montana just because he lasted much longer. It ain't because he won more football games, which I know people are going to say he did. Joe Montana won just as many football games. The difference is that in the 80s, all the teams were competitive, and You had to win those football games to get to the Super Bowl. In Tom Brady's time period, he's faced tough competition, but as time goes on, there weren't too many teams in his conference, but maybe one or two quarterbacks that could challenge Tom Brady and the Patriots. So what I should say on a technicality, the real answer should be Joe Montana, because he faced real competition throughout his whole career. Where in today's NFL system, whoever you face in your conference, that's your challenge and your division rival. Now, I'm not saying Tom Brady ain't never faced no tough competition. What I'm saying is, by a slight little margin, by popular majority, the winner is Tom Brady. So I know some of y'all are gonna say bullshit in the comment section. I know a lot of y'all gonna say you just a hater. It ain't me just being a hater. It's just me trying to tell you the history of these players and things of that history. So we might have to come back and revisit this video and make a part 2 in the future. If Tom Brady doesn't make it back to the Super Bowl, then we'll have to turn around and make a video. That's why I said the real technicality answer would be Joe Montana. I said by popular majority votes, it's Tom Brady. Until next time, peace.